What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I would like to talk about Lorenzo Carter. But if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. Hit that like button for your boy. I do appreciate you guys for continuing to share out my content. If you'd like to follow your boy on Twitter and Instagram, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. And if you'd like to donate to my channel, you can donate to my Cash App, which is the $ Jew Talk Sports. And if you'd like to be a part of my Jew Talk Sports membership, you can hit that join tab here on the channel as well. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So in today's video, as I mentioned, I would like to talk about Lorenzo Carter and if the Atlanta Falcons should re-sign Lorenzo Carter this offseason. Personally, I do believe the Falcons should try to bring back Lorenzo Carter. Lorenzo Carter is an outside linebacker slash defensive end. He goes about 6'5", 260 pounds, and he is a former Georgia Bulldog. He did play at Georgia University, and he is also from the Georgia area. He actually is a Georgia native, so I definitely think that it will be mutual interest from Lorenzo Carter and for the Atlanta Falcons because he's from the state of Georgia. He grew up in the state of Georgia. I definitely think that he may have mutual interest to return to the Atlanta Falcons. But this season, Lorenzo Carter was our best edge rusher. He was the leader and the veteran, similar to a Rashaan Evans in that outside linebacker room. For the defensive linemen, we have a lot of young defensive linemen like Arnold Ebiketie, like D'Angelo Malone, like Ogundeji. So he was that guy in that locker room that was kind of one of the leaders on that defensive line outside of Grady Jarrett. And I definitely think that Lorenzo Carter is a guy the Falcons should try to bring back, maybe on like a 2-year deal. Lorenzo Carter is 27 years old, so he's still fairly young. He started his NFL career with the New York Giants. I believe he played for the New York Giants for about 3 or 4 years prior to playing with the Atlanta Falcons last season. But Lorenzo Carter did make plays last year. He did have 4 sacks for our Atlanta Falcons, about 6 tackles for loss, about 58 tackles, total tackles on the season. But he's a guy that's very versatile. He's a guy that can rush from the 2-point stance or with his hand in the dirt. He is a guy that you also can drop in the flats in the coverage. And I definitely think that he'll be a guy that will fit in Ryan Nielsen's scheme. Now that we brought him over from the New Orleans Saints, he is a guy that is known for developing defensive linemen and outside linebackers. And I definitely think that he could be one of those guys to help Lorenzo Carter take his game to the next level. Lorenzo Carter is a freakish athlete, very long arms, very wiry athlete. And he's one of those guys that I think will fit in Ryan Nielsen's scheme because Ryan Nielsen likes taller, longer, bigger defensive linemen. And that's pretty much what Lorenzo Carter is. Lorenzo Carter scored 2 touchdowns for our Atlanta Falcons last season, one on a scoop and score on the block punt by Troy Anderson. And he also had an interception against the Panthers, pick 6 that he returned in that Panthers game. So I definitely think that Lorenzo Carter isn't a guy that really will be a star on the defense. He isn't one of those guys that I see as like a Pro Bowl caliber outside linebacker or defensive end. But he is one of those guys that I think is very good if you add him to a rotation. And I really feel like moving forward, the Atlanta Falcons should focus more on building the trenches and building depth in the trenches and not just relying on one guy to get you 10 or 15 sacks, but trying to rely on getting multiple guys that can give you 8 to 10 sacks in the season. And I do think that Lorenzo Carter, as we upgrade the interior of our defensive line, as we upgrade our edges, I definitely think that Lorenzo Carter could be a guy once we bring in more players that can free him up and give him more one-on-one situations. I do think that he could be a guy who could be a great rotational pass rusher. And he's a guy, like I said, that's very versatile. So I definitely think the Falcons should bring Lorenzo Carter back. He was great in the locker room. He was a leader for those young guys in the locker room. And he was a guy that made plays. Like I said, he had 2 clutch touchdowns this season. He made a bunch of great tackles for loss. He was great in the running game. of setting the edge and things of that nature. But I definitely think that he's a guy that you will want to use more in the rotation. Last year, I believe he played somewhere around 70% of the snaps because he is one of those guys that's very fit for a defensive lineman. He's not one of those, fat, chubby defensive linemen. He's one of those guys that's very fit and agile. So he was a guy that can play a high number of snaps. But I believe as the Falcons get better, as they bring in more talent, now that we have money, that we can bring in more guys in free agency, and as guys develop like Arnold Ebiketie, guys like Ogundeji, D'Angelo Malone, I think that Lorenzo Carter's his snap count this season could possibly go down, which will give him more opportunities to be able to rush the passer because he'll be rested on particular downs when we need a clutch sack or when we need him to come in the game. He'll basically be more rested because last season he had to play a lot of snaps. So I'm looking for his snap number to go down, but his production to go up as we continue to add talent to this Atlanta Falcons defense in the front seven. So with that being said, you guys let me know what you think of Lorenzo Carter. Do you think he should be a guy the Falcons should bring back? I definitely think they should definitely try to bring him back maybe on like a 2-year deal. I don't believe it'll take a whole lot of money to bring him back because, like I said, he's not one of those guys that's like a star pass rusher, but he is one of those guys that could be very good in a rotation. But with that being said, this has been your boy Jew. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up, and happy Valentine's Day. Peace.